So we can also combine negative exponents with fractional exponents to deal with negative radicals. So negative exponents, remember, they move the base to the opposite side of a fraction. So if we have a negative exponent in the numerator, it means that the base wants to go to the denominator. If you have a negative exponent in the denominator, it means it wants to come up to the numerator. So we have two examples here that we're going to rewrite so there are no negative exponents in our answers. We don't like negative exponents in our answers. They're not fully simplified. And we want to write our final answers as radicals. So let's look at number 21 first. So I have a 2x to the negative 1/2. So I want to be careful when I decide what the negative 1/2 is referring to. The negative 1/2 is only directly touching the x. So the negative 1/2 power is only on that x as the base. So I'm going to make this a fraction over 1. So because that negative exponent just applies to the x, I'm going to take that and I'm going to move it down to the bottom. So we're going to write this as 2 over x to the 1/2. And then they wanted us to write our answers as radicals. So I'm going to get 2, and that x to the 1/2, that's x to the first, and I have an index of 2 then. So it's going to be a square root. But that's the final answer. Right, you could also rationalize that and get the square root out of the bottom. I don't know what is happening, but we don't have to do that. That's not what the question asked us to do. So then over here, we have a negative 2/5 power, and that is touching everything in these parentheses because it's directly on the parentheses. So since this is starting in the denominator of a fraction, it means anything that the negative exponent is touching really wants to move up to the top. So we're actually not going to have anything left in our denominator. So we're going to bring that whole thing up. Right, technically it's over 1, but we don't need to write that. And then we need to write this as a radical. So I have a 2 in the numerator of my exponent, so that means that this thing is being squared. And then I have, right, we can kind of color code this out for us, right? We have, that's going to be a square. And then since I have a 5 in my denominator, that means my radical has an index of 5. Right, I'm not going to even write it as a fraction anymore just because a 1 in the denominator, you don't have to write that. There we go.